Every year in Canada, police lay approximately 70,000 impaired driving charges. The vast majority of those are for drunk driving. But with the legalization of marijuana coming up next month, law enforcement agencies expect to see a lot more drug-impaired drivers on our roads. Today, we got our first look at the only roadside test authorized for use in Canada, designed to detect the amount of cannabis in a person's system, called the Draeger 5000. It's a very simple test to use, but can only be used once a police officer has reason to suspect a driver is impaired. It usually takes about a minute to collect enough saliva in the swab.
So you've got enough saliva now.
Got enough saliva.
A machine then reads the level of THC in a driver's spit. That takes about 4.5 minutes. If the levels are high enough, the driver will be subjected to a blood test to confirm an illegal amount of THC. The Draeger Drug Test 5000 has been the subject of heavy criticism by lawyers who say it's flawed and will not stand up in court. But Draeger Canada stands by its product.
The research has shown the device to be over 95% accurate. So in California, they did a study and it was reported to be 98.7% accurate for cannabis. So we are very confident in the technology and in the biochemistry we employ here. The test is very, very reliable and accurate.
Some of the main criticisms of the test are that it doesn't function in temperatures below 4 Celsius. Draeger says the device will stay inside a heated cruiser, so will always work. In some jurisdictions, the test has registered a certain level of THC that disappears by the time a blood test is done, sometimes up to 4 hours later. To avoid that and to protect drivers from charges when they're not impaired, the threshold for the test is set at 25 nanograms per 100 milliliters of blood, even though the law in Canada states that charges can be laid with as little as 2 nanograms of THC. Draeger Canada says the test is only looking for the active ingredient in THC called analytes, which they say only stay in your system for 4 to 6 hours. They do not test for metabolites, which is the component of THC which can remain in your body for days.
We're confident in the technology.
Rob Clark says that this technology has been in use in 40 different jurisdictions around the world since 2008, including California, as well as in private businesses here in Canada. Its track record speaks for itself, he says.
You are confident that this will stand up constitutionally?
Yeah, we've had no issue with it in any of the jurisdictions we've been working in. So it was challenged in California, and the Supreme Court found the test results to be scientifically reliable.
The Draeger 5000 may have held up so far, but that won't stop people from trying to fight their charges, known as DUID, driving under the influence of drugs. Defense lawyer Jordan Donnich, whose clients are primarily facing drunk driving charges, says at first the validity of the test will be called into question, but eventually the courts will work it out.
I think what we'll see is a maturity, just like we've seen in drinking and driving. Over time, certain defenses get eliminated or less successful, or legislation is created to perhaps deal with those type of defenses. And that's what we're going to see with time with the impaired driving framework with cannabis. And that's what the court is really going to have to do the heavy lifting. The court is going to have to sort out all this.
The cost of the devices is another problem. The Draeger people were very coy about the exact price tag, but an educated guess puts the number at about $6,000 per unit. Compare that to roadside breathalyzers, which are just about $200 each. The cost of the test itself is also expensive at about $20 each. So that may be one of the reasons why not a single police force in Canada has yet to sign up to buy the machines.